Welcome to Adventures in a Silver Tesla. Today we're at Harper's Ferry National Historical Park in West Virginia. Harper's Ferry is a pretty interesting place. It's where the Shenandoah River flows into the Potomac. It's where John Brown held a raid in 1859, which you might call the prelude to the Civil War. It's got a really great hiking path here, the C&O Canal path, and also it's got some really crazy cliffs. So we're going to take a look at some of the things in Harper's Ferry and the surrounding areas. I noticed in some of the videos I have that the car isn't really in it, even though it's called Adventures in a Silver Tesla. So I thought I'd try to put the car in this one. This car was manufactured at the Texas Giga Tesla plant. I believe it was in March of 2024. And I got it in May of 2024. So it's really one of the first of the Quicksilver Teslas in the United States. There were probably fewer than 100 in the United States at the time I got it. And it's actually interesting because it's one of the few with these silver wheels. Pretty soon after they started with these, they went to the black wheel covers, but this has the silver, and it's one of the few in the United States like that. So the bus drops you sort of right outside of the Harper's Ferry town, which is up here, and along, I guess, what used to be the old railroad tracks. And then the Shenandoah is this way. Here's a nice path down to the Shenandoah. Ooh, looks like there's a crane there. Here we are in the little old town area of Harper's Ferry. They've got a lot of these buildings that look old, although I don't know how many are reproductions, how many are actually from the 1800s. These ones with the brick, or the stone, I guess, like this one, they certainly look like they might have been here in the 1800s. There's a hill going up to more of the older areas of town. Oh, African American history here. This building on the right is the firehouse where John Brown and his party actually ended up before they were captured. Several of them were killed, and then the rest were captured, and then they were taken and tried in Charlestown. The raid took place between October 16th and October 18th of 1859. October 16th was a Sunday, and then they were captured on October 18th on a Tuesday. So the whole raid didn't take very long. Here's a plaque on the building, which was put up by the alumni of Storer College in 1918, it says, commemorating the heroism of John Brown. This, as far as I know, is in fact the original. Oh, this says rebuilt in 1910. So this is not the original. But I guess it's what the firehouse would have looked like. So it's restored in 1895 and rebuilt in 1910. So I was speaking with one of the volunteers here about the building, and he was telling me that it's sort of original and sort of not original, in that some of the bricks are original, but that the building was actually moved several times, including it was relocated to Chicago for a while. It was sort of taken apart and then moved back here. And some of the bricks are new and some of the bricks are old. Now what's interesting is the place that it was originally is actually marked by this obelisk. So this is the Shenandoah right here. This is the end of the Shenandoah. And that is the Potomac right there. These cliffs up at the top there are called Maryland Heights. And there is a trail going up there. I don't know if you can see the people at the very top there. But they are there. Here's the current bridge over what is the Potomac at this point. The Shenandoah is over there, but the Potomac comes in and goes off to the left. This is the current bridge, and you can see there was another bridge here before. You can see up on the side of the mountain there used to be a huge ad for some sort of powder. If I can find an image of that from earlier in the 1900s, then I'll try to find that and put that in. As the train just finishes up, you can see looking back here, those two bridge supports over there. Those, I think, go over the Shenandoah. And then the ones across here, these are across the Potomac. So this is right at the point where they come together. This is all part of the C&O Canal towpath. You can see there used to be a canal through here for the boats. And that's an obviously old building. But this goes both directions, up and down here. This is Lock 33 on the canal. Unfortunately, the trees are pretty dense for most of the path, but you can see the river and a little bit of the town there. Good view of the church across the river. The cliffs here on the side of the river are pretty big, going all the way down here and going up. You've got pretty open area for the river here. A lot of rapids, this area. So I mentioned all the way along here, you can see this is the canal. You've got the river over here, which in some places is impassable, but this was the canal, and the boats with the goods going to various places would be done over here on the canal rather than on the river. And this path actually is quite long. It goes basically from Washington, D.C. to Cumberland, Maryland, and it's 184-ish miles. So if you want to take a nice hike, or you want to take a long bicycle trip. The bicycle trip can actually be done in about 3 days. The hike, of course, would be a couple of weeks. But it's a pretty nice little trail. You can see on this view of the river why they would need the canal for the boats, because that would be pretty difficult to get a boat past when the water is low. Well, here we are on the Maryland Heights Trail. It looks pretty steep. I don't know if you can tell. See if an elderly gentleman such as myself can make it. Well, here we are partway up the trail talking about Maryland Heights and how there were cannons and things up here. How it was a division between the Confederacy and the Union. See, we're pretty high up off the water right here. Still going up. Up and up and up. Hard to see too much, but it's definitely steep in places. Nice wide trail though, very well kept. Well, we finally came out of the woods. I guess we're at the top of the mountain now. I'm back at the river now. One thing I really like about the C&O Canal hike, and you can see sort of down the road here, down the path, it's totally flat. So usually when I come here, I hike on that area, and that's really good if you want to take a long hike. If you want to do like a 5 mile out and a 5 mile back, 10 mile hike, this is a great place to do it. You can see that here we're at mile 61 on the C&O Canal. So the nice thing about this canal path, if you want to hike it, there are all kinds of places you can start. You can start here at Harper's Ferry, but there are, 50 or maybe more places along the canal that you can start too. And you can really hike the whole canal just in sections of a few miles at a time if you want to. And that'd probably be a nice thing to do if you wanted to try to hike the whole canal a little bit at a time. In theory, the canal path is slightly downhill, going from west to east. So if you wanted to actually hike the whole canal, you might do it in that direction. But honestly, the grade is so slight you can hardly tell going either way. There's the train going the other way. Definitely hard to get a sense of the scale, but the cliffs are tall. There's that old ad for the powder of some sort. Oh, you can see there are people climbing down. See the ropes? And somebody climbing right there. So I'm back at the car now, and I got to tell you, that was a tough hike. That was one of the harder hikes I've done. I've got on the channel hikes of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, and also at Rocky Mountain National Park, and those hikes were a lot easier than this one. This is a tough one.